soul was being tightly bound by countless blood-red chains. It was Sha Mo. At this moment, Sha Mo's soul had become extremely transparent, as if it could dissipate at any moment. Those blood-colored chains were continuously draining the golden light of merit from his soul. With every sliver that was extracted, an expression of extreme agony would appear on Sha Mo's face. My eyes burned with fury. A furious roar shattered the blood clouds covering the sky. This roar carried the full power of a peak Mahayana realm cultivator. A sinister voice then came from the palace. Which junior dares to cause trouble in the ancestors' domain? An old man in a blood-red robe was seen slowly rising. On his back were two divine swords reeking of murderous intent, Yuantu and Abi. It was none other than Ancestor Styx. Although this was just one of his incarnations in this realm, its power had long surpassed the Mahayana stage, reaching the level of a half-step true immortal. A Mahayana stage human, Ancestor Styx looked me up and down. Then, his gaze fell upon Sha Mo's soul within the Red Lotus. So, you've come for this little ingredient. Ancestor Styx licked his lips, revealing a cruel smile. A pity you're too late. I've already drained 90% of this fatty's golden light of merit. In just another 15 minutes, his soul will completely disintegrate and become fuel for my karma fire Red Lotus. However, Ancestor Ming He's tone shifted as he stared at me with greed. Since a physical body of the Mahayana stage has delivered itself to my door, then this ancestor won't stand on ceremony. I'll refine your body into a blood god's son. It's sure to greatly increase the power of my grand formation. I completely ignored Ancestor Ming He's threat, my eyes fixed on that Red Lotus, where Sha Mo was struggling in agony. I said, let her go. If you harm even a single hair on her head, I will slaughter your entire clan. If you destroy her soul, I will make this sea of blood of yours run completely dry. I raised my head, and the aura around me began to surge wildly, seemingly breaking through the limits of the Mahayana stage, stirring the thunder within the void. How arrogant, children! Tear him to pieces for me. Countless blood-red shadows shot out from the sea outside the palace. They were the blood god's sons that Ancestor Ming He had refined. Each one had the power of a nascent soul stage cultivator, and their numbers were in the tens of millions. As far as the eye could see, they looked like a crimson plague of locusts, overwhelming me in an instant. I uttered only 3 words. Sword 3, Asura. The next moment, a black pillar of light that pierced through heaven and earth erupted from the center of the sea of blood. It was pure, unadulterated death intent. Wherever this pillar of light passed, whether they were blood god's sons or waves of blood, all were utterly annihilated. Then, I emerged from the pillar of light. At that moment, my full head of white hair had turned crimson, and my Taoist robe had transformed into jet black battle armor. This was the result of burning my own lifeblood, to forcibly manifest my Asura form. Since this underworld doesn't understand reason, then I will become a demon and carve out a path of reason myself. Sword in hand, I walked step by step towards the high and mighty Ancestor Ming He. With every step, a black lotus bloomed in the void beneath my feet. Old man Ming He. Are your 480 million blood god's sons enough for me to kill? What? This sword strike doesn't just sever the body. It severs the very laws of existence. He felt it in that one sword strike. The intent of annihilation, transcending even yin and yang. Good, you brat, a mere mortal cultivator, has actually grasped a sliver of the great Tao of annihilation. But this is the nether sea of blood. As long as the sea of blood does not wither, Ming He is immortal. Your level of skill is far from enough to challenge me. Blood River Grand Formation, activate. The entire, endless sea of blood began to boil. This time, it did not condense into the humanoid blood god's sons. Instead, the entire ocean transformed into a colossal maw that blotted out the sky. A monstrous wave of blood, tens of thousands of feet high, surged into the sky. Every single drop of seawater contained the grievances of countless vengeful souls, which transformed into billions of blood-red chains. That sealed off all of my escape routes. This technique is known as the Heaven and Earth Prison. Even a Deluo Golden Immortal would be stripped of their power and perish before it. Now, die. Ancestor Ming He waved his hand, and the colossal wave of blood came crashing down with a roar. At the heart of the storm, I seemed as insignificant as a speck of dust. But I didn't retreat. I didn't even raise a protective shield of spiritual energy. I simply looked up at the lotus floating above the ancient hall, which was about to close completely. Karma fire Red Lotus that was about to devour Sha Mo's soul. I whispered to myself, Lao Mo is still waiting for me. Sword 4, Fearless. I took a step forward, a step that ignored space itself. It ignored the barrier of blood waves, ignored the layers of seals set by Patriarch Nether River. Before the disbelieving eyes of Patriarch Nether River, the man who should have been smashed into pulp vanished into thin air. When I reappeared, I was already standing above the Karma Fire Red Lotus, less than 10 jong from Patriarch Nether River. Patriarch Nether River was stunned. The two slaughtering swords behind him, Yuantu and Abby, instinctively flew from their sheaths. They transformed into two shrieking beams of blood-red light and slashed toward me. I didn't even glance at those two legendary cursed blades. I slashed out with a backhand strike. A deafening clash of metal,